Irish Footy Vlogs, and this is your review. Shamrock Rovers 2, Dundalk 4, FAI Cup final, Keane. Fantastic final in the end. It was 0-0 at half-time, which was, you couldn't see this coming, basically. But, Dundalk, congratulations to them. It's their 12th FAI Cup. They really dug deep in this, Keane, because I felt for a lot of the game, Shamrock Rovers were actually the better side. So to actually dig deep against a team like Shamrock Rovers and come out and win, probably no other team in the league would have done that, would they?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a cagey game, especially up until half-time. Looking at the way the game went, I was surprised because at half-time I was saying, right, this is what we have. Two teams cancelling each other out, and it was anything but in the second half. No, I thought Dundalk done well. When you say dig deep, I thought they just hung in there. In the whole game, they hung in there. They didn't let Rovers get ahead too much. They didn't let them, they kept the goals down. They obviously kept it tight. They scored at the right moments, which is what wins you games, obviously. But, I thought Macmillan, to be honest with you, I thought he probably would have been taken off at half-time. He was that bad.
In an interview after the game, he said, I was having a poor game. Yeah, he did, yeah. He said it felt like he was having a poor game, but sometimes a moment happens in a game for a striker and everything lifts, doesn't it, for a striker?
Yeah, he would probably be, and that's nothing against him, he probably would have been one of the fourth men off for me for Dundalk at half-time. I thought he was a passenger for them. I didn't think he was doing that. And it just shows you how quick things change. It brought me back to the 2012 final with Pats. Sucky scores a fantastic free kick. Then all of a sudden, Derry score.
It was a bit like that.
And then all of a sudden, it's a draw. And then a minute later, Clarkey bleeding, the rugby tackles him. And all of a sudden, it's a penalty and Pats are 2-1 down the space of 5 minutes. And that's exactly what it was like. It just changed so quickly. But, I think Dundalk deserved that because they hung in there, like I says. When you're going for it towards the end of the game, you're going to leave gaps, and that's what happened. And they scored the fourth. But, you have to be there to score them. I thought, I thought Dundalk just hung in there. They just nullified Rovers. That's all. They didn't do much spectacular. I think they set up exactly how I expected them to set up.
One thing I think that stood out for me in the game from Dundalk's point of view at the beginning, obviously, was their defending from set pieces. I thought was very poor. I don't know if Filippo, he seems to set up zonal marking. I can never understand fully zonal marking at set pieces and corner kicks. I just don't fully get it. You pick up a man, it's his responsibility as well to say, look, that's your man who scored or whatever. And I felt Shamrock Rovers, you're right, in the first 20, 25 minutes, probably the first 30 minutes was a game of chess, really. After that, though, I think Rovers took over for the last 15 minutes big time and completely dominated. Rogers actually made a few good saves. Yeah. But early in half, Rovers got what they deserved, and that was the lead. Aaron Green, 51 minutes. It was a header, set piece again. I question Rogers, though, for this one. I'm not really sure what he was doing. He kind of hopped in the air or something. I don't really understand what he was doing.
No, it was...
No, but I just felt make yourself big there. Now it's tough to save from point blank range, but you just kind of, I don't know. But Rovers obviously got the lead, and for after that, you're right, they dominated as well. After that point, for up to the 68th minute when Dundalk scored, and Dundalk were like a boxer on the ropes. If Rovers had scored during that time to go 2 up, it probably was game over. But out of nowhere, Gannon plays in a cross. I think it was the only attack in the half. And Macmillan just gets out from the Scales, and poor Liam Scales had a bit of a nightmare, to be fair.
He got a bit of luck with the goal, in fairness. It bounced off Scales, and it could have went anywhere, and ended up going back to Macmillan. It was
an excellent finish, actually.
Yeah, look, he finished it well, but even at 1-0, like you said, if Rovers scored again, it was game over. To be honest, even at 1-0, I was saying it was game over. I couldn't see Dundalk scoring in this game after the first half, especially. I think Rogers was obviously the busiest of the keepers. There was no question about it. And he pulled off a great save. He got down low for a free kick, which from Graham Burke. But it's funny. Do you ever watch the games in the Aviva and stuff like that? And it's like it's like the ball is moving in slow motion, even though it's not. It's a strange one when you're watching it. Like I always find, like, watching cup finals and all, you're looking at the teams on the pitch, and they look totally different playing on that pitch than they do. Well, that pitch was awful, by the way, the other day, speaking on that.
Yeah, in fairness, the players did very well, didn't they, to pass
Yeah.
the ball the way they did in such a poor pitch. I mean, it was a rugby friendly before that, and any other country, that's not happening, is it, for a cup final? Like, it's another thing that would piss you off, let's be honest, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But have you any issue with the penalty? The penalty Dundalk got to go 2-1 up. Did you think it was
for a cup final? It was soft. I thought.
I would have given it personally, I have to say, because
wait, hang on.
The issue here is it is a penalty, but the issue and the complaint that Scales could have is that everyone does it and they get away with it. Like, that's the problem.
Like anywhere in the pitch, it's a free kick. But considering it was a cup final, but now I have to be honest, I thought Harvey refed it really well. I thought he had control of the game and he was sensible with his cards. He didn't, like, I remember, I think it was after 11, 12 minutes, Graham Burke made a tackle, and in fairness, it was a yellow card, and he let it go, considering it was a cup final, I think. And then about 5 minutes later, Dundalk had one, and he let it go, and he kind of gave one each, and then all of a sudden it was game ball. Then he was handing out cards. But I thought, I just thought he refed it really well. Like, we always talk about refs, and we always talk about how they make a bottle of it and they bottle her and they're shite and all that. But this, in fairness to him, he actually had a really good final, and he deserves it.
As you say, in fairness, though, you couldn't really. I know what you're saying about the penalty, but you can't really argue either, because he does drag it down.
You can't argue. But, it's not like, it was a penalty in terms of it was a foul, and that's really what happens. But you don't see them giving an awful lot. More
of them probably should be given. Put it that way, if you get. And then all of a sudden, that was Dundalk 2-1 up, literally out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like literally out of nowhere. They got 2 goals in 2 minutes. As we said, Shamrock Rovers did have most of the game, but Shamrock Rovers came back flying a couple of minutes later, and Pete Lopez, again, it was a corner kick. Terrible header, was a very good header, to be fair. Rodgers, you can't complain this time. Excellent header. Game on again, 2-2.
Yeah, it was excellent then. Pico, like, we only spoke about him in the team of the year that time, and I was like, what a player, like, and rightly so. He's up for player of the year. I don't think he's probably going to win it. It'd be nice to see a defender winning it.
Would actually.
Well, I think Brian Shelley was probably the last defender to win it. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, I could be wrong now. But I think it was Brian Shelley for Drogheda the year they won the league. I can't think of another defender that won it since. I think it was Brian Shelley last one. So it would be nice to see, and it would be fully deserved. But I think, apart from Scales, I think Joey O'Brien, I think Lee Grace or Pico Lopez could actually win Player of the Year, believe it or not. I think any one of the centre halves that played week in, week out could have won it. But Pico's there. I think he'll. I don't think he'll win it now. I think he'll finish third. But look, he'll take it any day of the week, considering what he's done. What a header though, like, in the game, man. Like, it was really, really good. Like, and he's one of them players that you like seeing him play. You like seeing him do well, don't you? And
he's very set pieces as well. He does score quite a few goals, doesn't he?
Yeah, Pico, but it was a good one. Then all of a sudden it was game on again, and like, I think I'm trying to remember it now. To be honest with you, it was a while ago now. But I was looking at Rovers. I think they had a chance right at the end, didn't they? Rolled across the goal, and I went just out to the right of the post.
I remember. Yeah. I remember the chance. Yeah.
That was it though. Really, after that, wasn't it? Until extra time.
Who did you fancy then going into extra time? Did you feel that Dundalk had edge?
I thought it was going to be an edgy game, and I said, right, this is penalties now. It's not going to, what I mean? It's not. Nobody's going to give her up, and credit to both sides. They didn't stop playing all the game. Dundalk, when they were behind and they were getting battered, they still tried to play. Then all of a sudden, when Rovers especially got behind, when Dundalk went ahead, they tried to play. There was no panic stations. It wasn't lumping balls 40, 50 yards and trying to get on the end of them and lucky goals. It was lovely football.
I'd argue actually, and Rovers fans mightn't like this, but I'd argue that actually Dundalk's bench won it an extra time because Rovers do have a good bench. We've said this before. We do feel like Dundalk's squad is slightly stronger, don't we?
Yeah.
Rovers like Greg Bulger coming on, but Greg Bulger hasn't kicked the ball all year, for example.
Yeah.
Players coming off the bench there, Dundalk, I think that contributed as well. Obviously, Sean Hoare was one of them. And, it was deflected into net. Doesn't matter. You get a strike and the deflects into net. And poor Liam Scales, he just one of those, he just hit off him. He just had one of those where things went wrong for him on the day without being poor, if you get me. But Sean, obviously, big player as well, and he rose the occasion. And
look, take the goal away from it. I thought he defended well. I thought he marshalled Williams well in the game towards the end, and he kind of took Williams in a pocket basically, and he was really good when he came on. I'm surprised he didn't start. I did expect him to start considering he wasn't in the side on Thursday night, so I was looking at him starting, but he didn't. And look, how might the judge Filippo now?
I would have started Grace ahead of Scales. I like Liam Scales. Yeah. You know that. I've said it before, but just for that experience factor as well. And I'm not saying Liam Scales had an awful game, but there were things in the game that went wrong.
Yeah.
That was the right decision.
Trying to say that he had a bad game without trying to say he had a bad game, aren't you?
The deflected shot that went in was just unlucky. Now he's to blame for the penalty, obviously, because he did drag your man down. And as you say, a little unlucky with the first Macmillan goal because there was a bit of a bobble off him and things like that. Just things didn't go right. But I just would have thought a bit more experience on the day when someone like Lee Grace there on the bench. I just would have started Lee Grace personally at Liam Scales, and I don't know whether it contributed to the game or not. But Macmillan became the third player ever to score a hat-trick in a cup final. No matter what he does now for the rest of his career, that'll always be there, won't it? It's a fantastic thing.
The cup final is made for heroes, and Macmillan was obviously Dundalk's hero, and Shonny Maguire was Cork's hero, Christy Fagan was Pat's hero. That's what the cup final does. It brings these big players show up. Like I gave Macmillan so much credit there about 2-3 weeks ago. I said, like, he scored an awful lot of goals for a bench warmer. That's all he is at Dundalk, and that's the truth. He wouldn't have been anywhere near that starting lineup if Paddy was playing. So he showed his worth. He showed he can still bang a few goals in. Look, any team that gets a hold of him for next season, if he's not staying at Dundalk, would be amazing. Now I can't see why you'd let your striker go after scoring a hat-trick in a cup final.
Yeah, transfer list thing, it's a bit of a funny thing, really. Like, there's a lot of players that are on the transfer list that'll still be staying, ultimately. It's just they haven't signed a contract yet. That's all it is. It doesn't necessarily mean those players are...
I've gone through and I've seen so many players on the transfer list that, like, I know are staying or I know are going. But, it's the transfer list is a bit of a strange one. I think the players kind of put it out there. Some of them maybe put it out there to put the pressure on the clubs to get the contracts out. Some people put it out there just to get their name out again. Like if you see a player, Jesus, I forgot he was even a player. Like that's what I'm to be looking at and you say it. But, I'm trying to think, like if you got a couple of players off that transfer list, like 5 or 6 stand out to me, like especially the Dundalk lads, and even the likes of Billy King as from Pats. If you can get a couple of players from that transfer list and put them in your side, you'd be doing very well.
Definitely. I tell you what, though, it's delight for Chris Shields though after last year because controversially he missed the final last year. It seemed harsh, so I think he said it himself. It's come back full circle in a way, and it's great for him to actually get up the steps and win that trophy. For all he knew, that wasn't going to happen ever again. So obviously captain as well. Had a good game as well, I have to say. As Wigan was excellent actually.
Yeah, it's nice when it happens like that. But look, rules are rules. People say Bradley getting sent off was harsh. They're missing the cup final and stuff like that. The rules are there for a reason. Look, he had what was the last year? 8 yellow cards, something like that. You can understand, you can understand why he's missing the game. The rules are there. You can't bend them because you bend them 1 year and all of a sudden everyone wants to, then you've no leg to stand on. Like so, it's I'd kind of look at the player in that situation more than that. But look, Chris was excellent again, like he always is. I think he's always a solid 7 out of 10, always, if not more, every game. But I thought he just looked like he was up for it.
Big time.
Look, he wasn't trying to play nice football either. Without the ball, he wasn't trying to play nice little tappy football. He was getting stuck in, like he everywhere Jack Byrne was, Chris Shields was beside him, and Graham Boak. Like at times in the game, he nearly had to tell them, because Graham obviously pushes on and Jack obviously pushes on, but he had to tell them nearly, and he was playing against the two of them. So it was excellent to see him showcase his ability again, because I think he lost the credit. He got so much credit last year, the year before, as being like unbelievable footballer, or like the bright spark at Dundalk, and all of a sudden, like similar to every Dundalk player at the minute, like they've kind of lost our acknowledgement. They've kind of lost our appreciation. Like that, not people are underestimating them again, and people are saying they're not this and not that. But I think they answered the questions. I've said I don't think Filippo's the man for the job. Long term, I think maybe next year they might go win the league. They might go win the cup. That's obviously very good, very big, and very good success. But for me, I still think they need somebody else.
Well, I think what they've done incredibly well for this match is the fact they came back from Norway and went through extra time and managed to win the game in extra time, which was a fantastic achievement. I would agree with you there as well. Like, I do think there was a few tactical elements even in the game that I didn't agree with Filippo as well, and the set pieces and that kind of thing as well. They struggled with badly, even though they've good centre backs. But I mean, going into next season, like, this has laid down a marker for me. It's Dundalk saying to Shamrock Rovers, yeah, you might be top dogs now, but you're not going to have it all your way next season. No. And they're like, Dundalk are going to be pushing up there again. I'd be shocked in a 38-game season if Dundalk don't at least finish second next season, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, look, that's the aim is to win the league at Dundalk every year. The aim at Rovers is to win the league. If any Rovers or Dundalk finish outside the top two, it's a terrible season.
Sorry, Ken, I still believe they'll keep your Duffys, McElhennys. I still think Gannon will stay as well, unfortunately, for Pats fans. I still think a lot of their key men are going to stay.
Look, I think they have to. I think they have to hold on to them. Like I says, like people are looking at Sean Gannon and saying, do people need him? Do we want him? He's after having a bad season. And I'm saying to myself, this fella has been at the top of his game since 2014. 2013, 2011, he was with Rovers. He won a league title. He played a few cameo appearances, stuff like that. Then 2012, he was with Rovers, and he kind of broke in at Shamrock Rovers as a right back, and then he signed for Pats. Look, he wasn't going to get in over Gerard O'Brien. I think he knew that. Everyone knew that. And Stephen took a chance, and he's after walking out to be one of the best players to wear the shirt for Dundalk, and that's no exaggeration. He's been excellent this season. Or it's not this season, sorry. He's been excellent since he signed for Dundalk. You look at Dummigan as well. I thought he was excellent in the game. If someone had told me that Dummigan to be playing left wing back for Dundalk, like, I'd be laughing, and that's the God honest truth. I didn't rate him in the slightest, but since he's came in, like I said it before, I think they played Waterford under Perth, and Dummigan played right back, and he was playing the game, and he was excellent. And then he got injured, and he got taken off. I think that was the game that John Sheridan situation and stuff, if I can remember. But it was there. I was like, right, this fella has a bit of quality about him. And then you see him playing left wing back, and he's really excelled since Filippo came in, and he's doing really well for himself. But I just thought if Macmillan didn't score a hat trick, he was man of the match. But look, Macmillan deserves it. He wins man of the match. It's a strange one, but I think Dundalk now, like you said, I put down a benchmark, But is Filippo the main man to get them going? That's the question. Like I says, you're probably going to get a bit of short-term success out of it. But what happens then?
Yeah, it also depends actually how much control he has, because there's talk now. It looks like Jim Magilton is in, isn't it?
Yeah.
As the director of football. That looks interesting because he had a decent role with the IFA as well. So usually that means that the director of football 90% of the time pretty much chooses the players that come in. Will that work for Dundalk? Maybe it will. I'm not saying it won't. I'm not saying it will. But you just wonder then, if whoever the manager is, how much influence they have on players coming in. That'll be the question there going forward for them, really.
It's hard when, if I'm a manager and the club appoints a director of football, the first thing that goes wrong, I'm out the door. If I went in with a director of football, if they went, right, you're my man, I'm bringing you in with me, that's different. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a tasty off season now. Like I said, it's only a couple of weeks. It's only 3-4 weeks, and then we're pre-season. So it's going to come around thick and fast. But I think in general, the clubs need to start getting a little bit of a move on, in terms of signing players, and in terms of getting the squad sorted and contracts done up. Like I says, the first week of January, so a lot of clubs last year came back the second week in December. But I don't think that's going to happen this year now. I'd say January will be. But you're looking at it now, and you're saying, oh, this is a real chance now. You have 3 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks to get your squad sorted for pre-season. Look, we always have a couple of players signed in June pre-season. That's normal. But if you can get the bulk of your 20, 22 signed up before pre-season, I think that's a start.
Yeah, that's absolutely vital. Another thing I didn't like, though, was I've seen a lot of comments about Jack Byrne, and a lot of people saying, oh, he's overrated, he's not as good as people say what he is, and all this. I mean, Shamrock Rovers lost 1 game this season. Bear in mind as well, a lot of people seem to forget, he had COVID, and he had it fairly bad too, by the way. That's going to have a little effect as well. I don't think he was terrible yesterday, by the way, by any means, funnily enough. But I just think the stinging criticism of Jack Byrne for 1 game that Shamrock Rovers lose is, frankly, it's typical though, really, isn't it, I suppose? But it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're always going to have people that say that if you have 1 bad game. And for instance, Lucas says he definitely didn't have a bad game. No. I'd say he was an average. He didn't do anything that lit up the team. He didn't do anything like that, but he was average at most. But that was it. He didn't have a bad game. He just didn't have a great game like we're used to seeing.
Look, lads, we'll leave it there. Please like the video, subscribe if you're new, and hit your bell notification button so you don't miss a video. Great stuff, Keane. Thanks again.
Thanks, bud.